What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Today we are bringing you another episode of the Houston Oilers franchise. We are going to be joining this game late here, 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, as we try to close this one out against the Vikings. Now, this is going to be an interesting matchup to see what happens. It's been a close game up until this point. We've had some success on offense. We've also had some failures on offense. And the Vikings have not been able to move the ball very well. As you guys saw, a really nice catch there on the sideline. 22-yard pass by Nick Biggs, and a really nice toss here to the edge, and Kerry Crisp able to come down with that with a possession catch. Let's go ahead and try to close this one out, score another touchdown, and see what happens here at the end of this game. It'd be really nice to go to 2-0 on the season, and Kerry Crisp has almost 70 rushing yards on the day. We're having a pretty solid day on the ground here. Passing-wise, Nick Biggs has 1 passing touchdown and 2 interceptions. And there we go. Kerry Crisp was going to do it on the ground. Now, we do have a couple of minutes left in this game, so we'll see if the Vikings can't fight back and try to punch one in for another score and make this game close. But with 6 minutes left, it's not looking promising for the Vikings. And we're going to join here in a 3rd and 10 situation. This very well could do the game right here. This could finish it up, and they're going to get called for a false start. That's going to put them back at a 3rd and 15 situation. I have faith in this defense to get the job done on a play like this. We're going to go ahead and go with the quarter formation and just back a lot of guys off in coverage. We're going to play the middle here and just kind of roam the middle of the field with Pierce. Vikings do have a lot of talent on that side of the ball, so there we go. We get some pressure up the middle, and that's going to be Rick Carr who comes in for the sack. And I think that's just about going to do it. I'm surprised that they're not going for it here. We probably are going to be able to close this game out with how successful we have been on the ground between all of our running backs. I think they probably needed to go for it there. I know it's 4th and 21, 4th and basically impossible, but we're pretty much going to close this game out here. I'll let you guys know if anything else eventful happens, but you guys can see Nick Biggs here strolling onto the field yet again. He's had an up and down day. You guys can see him targeting a couple of guys deep. He almost had a really nice touchdown on that throw right there. You can see here he did get Callahan again. Callahan's been one of his favorite targets today. A nice touchdown pass to Waylon there in the first quarter. So a lot of good stuff going on the offensive side of the ball from Biggs. Just a couple of mistakes that led to interceptions. And now we're going to be back here with about 3.5 minutes left on a 3rd and 5 situation. If we convert this, it's pretty much done and over with. I think we are going to get it. Just make that catch. Hayes does come up with the catch and takes us across the 50-yard line. We should be able to burn a majority of this clock from this point forward. So let's go ahead and close this one out and walk away 2-0. Going into week 3, and I don't know exactly what our week 3 matchup is. A nice defensive stop there by Hall on the outside. Kerry Crisp looking to try to get to 100 yards today, and that is not going to help his situation. That'll roll us down to about the 2-minute warning. If he would have stayed up and basically off the ground, not tackled for 2 more seconds, we could have ran this all the way down. But we're gonna have to hit the 2-minute warning. And there we go. 2-minute warning. That's going to bring us to a 21-3 score at this stage of the game, a 3rd and 8 situation. I think we can pick this up even though it's a 3rd and somewhat long. If we don't pick it up, not a big deal. I think we can kind of punt the ball away. Kerry Crisp, nice catch over the middle, and that should just about do it. I don't know if they're going to use their timeouts. It doesn't look like they are. So I think that's going to do it, guys. I'll see you guys at the end scoreboard. And there you have it, guys. We are going to finish that one with a strong win, 21-3. A good defensive performance by our team in this game. You guys will see there with some of the equipment going on. I still do need to do my equipment edits, so I think I'm going to do that after we finish up today's video. But nice win here. We'll check out the stats from the game here real quick at the end. I think that we did a really nice job, and this team continues to improve. You guys can see the consistency there. We almost had a touchdown in each quarter. We had one in the first, second, and fourth quarters. And you can't expect more than that. What more could you expect? This team is doing fantastic. They're looking great. You guys can see some of the highlights here right now. And I'm pumped for the way that this team is playing. I don't, obviously we're not going to finish this season undefeated or anything like that. I think this team does have some weaknesses, and there probably are a couple of teams that can put up a really good fight against this team. But to go to 2-0 is absolutely huge for us. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of these stats here. So passing-wise today, not the best day for Nick Biggs, 21 of 44, which is a pretty bad completion percentage. 291 yards, though, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. So we might be throwing the ball a little bit too much, all things considered, especially whenever we go and take a look at our ground game. We had 87 rushing yards with Kerry Crisp. Carlos Steele didn't have a spectacular day on the ground, but he did add 18, and then Jalen Samuels added 23 yards and a touchdown. So over 100 yards from the offense on the ground, so a pretty solid rushing day with everybody combined there. From the receiving standpoint, though, Peter Whalen was the top target for Nick Biggs today, 80 yards on 7 catches and a touchdown. He did hit Wendell Callahan for 5 receptions, almost 100 yards in that one. Lee Arrington got 4 for 56, and then Jack Hayes had 2 for 13, as well as a couple dump-offs to the halfback, Kerry Crisp, and the fullback had 1 reception as well. From the blocking perspective, we only allowed 1 sack this game, which is a pretty good performance from the offensive line. 1 sack coming off of the right tackle, Titus Howard. And then defensively speaking, we had a pretty solid game here with a couple of sacks coming from various different points on the team. David Montague, 2.5 sacks in today's game. Jojo Stanton, the left outside linebacker, had a sack. D-tackle Rick Carr had 1.5 sack, credited to middle linebacker Patrick Pierce. No interceptions from this team, but an all-around really solid performance, and I liked what I saw in this one. Unfortunately, in that game, we did have Laramie Tunsil suffer a broken rib. He's going to be out for 4 weeks, and we should be getting Keith McDougald back next week against our next opponent. So that will be good to get him back. Unfortunately, like I said, we're losing Laramie Tunsil, so we will have to have somebody slide over to the tackle position and fill in for him. That is a bad loss for us, but it's nice that it's only 4 weeks, and we should have him back in no time. Now, the next game that you guys are going to get to see is our game here at home against the Detroit Lions, both 2-1 on the season at this point. We did lose our game against the Bills. This was actually an interesting one because we only lost that game 28-27. I'm going to hop into that game so you guys can see a little bit of what happened in it. But an interesting game against the Bills, suffering our first loss of the season. Nick Biggs had a really good bounce-back performance where he passed with a 122 QBR, 2 touchdowns, 212 yards, and no interceptions, which was, basically a better performance than Josh Allen had. From a rushing standpoint, Kerry Crisp struggled on the ground a little bit. He had 62 yards, which did lead all players here on the ground. We had a couple of rushes from other players mixed in, but not a lot to talk about. Lee Arrington led the receiving corps with 75 yards, and Jack Hayes added 8 receptions for 43 yards in this one, as well as some yardage going from various other players. And I did want to mention the reason there were no stats from Albert O in the previous game and Peter Whalen was actually our lead receiver was because Albert O suffered a minor injury in the beginning of that game. Defensively speaking, though, we had a lot of tackles here out of Keith McDougald, who was returning from injury. You obviously don't want to see your receiver making a ton of tackles because that means that they're passing the ball on you, but it is nice to see him basically stepping up in the action that he got right back from injury, doing very well for this team. We did get 3 more sacks in this game, 1 from Patrick Pierce, 1 from Connor Evans, and 1 from Jeff Eppard, so really nice performance there, and 1 interception from James Goodrich. And the stat here that actually really set these two teams apart in this game was the 2-point conversion made by the Buffalo Bills. And so that is really the difference maker here. They were able to complete a 2-point conversion, and that's what gave them the win. So like I said, we will be heading into our next game here, which I'll get you guys the majority of the game in this one. I wanted to make this one a little bit of a shorter video. I'll get you guys the majority of this game against the Lions as long as it's a good one. And so, stay tuned for that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. Like I said, another quick one. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Have a good one.